Yeah, I don't believe in destiny, I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me, you ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes, call me aggressive with my flow, call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love, still gonna die for what I love, still gonna try, I won't give up, still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no. Some injuries, mentally and physically. Studied them religiously so I don't repeat history. And people won't admit to me they don't want a victory bad enough to get a C. They'd rather just go leave it be. And oh, this journey I've been on since 13, working hard and learning, never stopping searching. Yeah, it's burning, all this passion hurts me. I took action working, writing down these words. No, I'm not okay, I just wanna be something. I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting by. But I'll tell you I'm just fine, so you leave me alone. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no.
All right. Hey, everyone. We hope you are having a great night. I am super stoked for tonight and this interview. And the reason is I've been waiting for this night for like 2 freaking years. 2 years. And it's finally here when we get to talk about this awesome book with this awesome guy who just, dude, is there anything you can't do? So...
yes, there is, definitely.
So before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the Dying Breed community, Warrior Bernard, Fighters Maxwell Foster, Q, Soldiers Boslow, Wolfie, Unwired, and of course, our defenders, LG, Jodan, and Miss Aoife. Thank you so much for your guys' support, being a part of the Patreon community. And of course, our partnership with the amazing people over at the Legion Publishers, where we stream in all these communities because we want to talk with awesome authors. And I love to talk to authors regardless of genre. And this guy has been killing it. So without any further ado, Daniel Pronk, why don't you tell our viewers who you are and how you got started in this awesome, crazy life of yours?
Yeah, so thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I'm Daniel Pronk. I make YouTube videos about finance. And yeah, my book is really about investing. But I got this review the other day from someone who read my book already. They went through the entire thing in like 2 days. And they said, my book is actually a lot about psychology and how to become a better person as well. And then I didn't even really think about it. But then when I was reading that comment, I was like, yeah, I guess so. I don't know if I'm going on a tangent right now, but my book does say that to become a great investor does also mean to become the best version of yourself.
Yep.
So that's kind of what the book is about. And how I got here to writing this book, I always knew I wanted to write a book. It was on my bucket list. I never knew
Okay.
what I was going to write about, but I fell in love with finance. I fell in love with investing. I've been doing it constantly for about 5 years now. And I've just been plugging away at the book for 3 years. It's finally
Oh,
done.
geez. Okay.
Yeah, I believe I hit the 3 year mark not too long ago. Uh,
Okay.
maybe about a month ago. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your questions or not, but that's how
Yeah,
it got
absolutely,
that's how I
man.
got started.
Because what's really cool is, I mean, you and I have considered you a friend per se for over 3 years now. And this is the first time we've ever video chatted, one, which is crazy. But I already know a little bit about your background, so I can kind of, help guide us along here. So, where did you grow up, and what were some of your career paths that led you to becoming a very influential content creator on YouTube?
Yeah, I grew up, well, I was born in British Columbia, Canada, but I
Mhm.
grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Pretty cold place. And then yeah, so I actually never went to university or anything like that. Out of high school, I was a construction worker on the railroad. I did
Okay.
that I did that for about 4 to 5 years, and then during that time, I was dabbling with photography. Bought a camera and was like knew I didn't wanna do construction forever, so I loved photography, and I wanted to try and build my own photography business to turn my passion into a business. So my brother and I eventually ended up starting a photography business. We were doing real estate photography in Calgary for realtors. We were marketing homes, doing videos, and just trying to help the realtors sell the home, essentially. So we did that.
Which, for those of you who don't know, his photos were amazing. Like, you had some incredible shots, because I did also do photography for a while. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Our business was doing very well. Yeah, it was taking off. We were doing great. We had a lot of clients. We were expanding, hiring people. We had photos get on billboards and stuff in the city, which was pretty cool. And then COVID came, and when COVID came, there was nothing happening in the real estate market for a while. So unfortunately, that coupled with a few other things in my brother and I's personal life, we decided to just shut down the business during COVID. And that was really when I started to go all in on YouTube because as I was building my photography business, I was saving money and I always knew that I should be investing my money. And when I had these savings piling up, I was like, okay, this is the time to start investing. So before COVID happened, I was dabbling in the market, making a lot of mistakes, kind of speculating, being dumb. And then when COVID came, I basically just went all in on a YouTube channel about investing and my experience investing and what I'm learning and the lessons that I'm learning and what I'm investing in, et cetera, et cetera. And it just took off. Like
Yeah.
I still kind of think I got a little bit lucky to this day, but whatever happened, it worked and the channel blew up. It went from, I believe it took me about 5 to 6 months to get my first 1,000 subscribers. Then I got to 10,000 subscribers within a month from there. And then from 10,000 to 100,000 was in like 3 months.
Yeah.
So
And
there's a
it's
lot.
crazy, dude.
Yes, there was like this huge upfront work where I was seeing no growth, no success. And then when COVID came and I went all in on the channel, it just like, I don't know what happened. It just took off. And here we
So
are.
I think I found you right when you had about 12,000 followers. And I mean, many of us, I think, know to have 12,000 alone is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so again, like when you started the YouTube channel to at least that 12,000, how long had you been doing it roughly? Do you remember?
At 12,000, I would say maybe 9 months by that point, 9 months to a year.
That's a lot of devotion and dedication.
Yes.
But like, what was the initial draw? Like, I think a lot of us, at least, when we start writing, we kind of are stepping into the void of the unknown. But the same can be said about investing. When you're starting, especially in the stock market, and we see things like the movie about GameStop, right? And all these things that popularize it. But like, what got you to that point of like, I'm going to take the step, but I'm also going to throw it on YouTube for everyone to see the ups and the downs of my journey?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I had this feeling. It's like writing a book. I always knew that I wanted to write a book, and there was something inside of me that I always just knew, like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. You know, I love making videos. I just feel like I can do it.
Mhm.
So I just did it. Like I don't know. And honestly, when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't know that I was going to be a finance YouTuber and talk about investing. I tried everything. People don't know this, but I have vlogs on my channel that are hidden. I have gaming videos. I tried to be like a gaming YouTuber for a bit.
Yeah, you're doing League of Legends and Call of Duty, I think, right?
Yeah, League of Legends, Call of Duty, and making vlogs. And like I still have those videos, but they're private and they're pretty cringy. But that's what I mean, is like I was trying to make videos on things that I was genuinely interested in, and investing happened to be one of the things that I was interested in. I like doing the research, so I just made a video about my research, and then the videos that I made previously about vlogs and gaming, they would get like 10 views. I made an investing video with my research and I got like 3,000. It's like, huh, maybe I'll do that again. And then that's how the channel kind of went that way.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I remember like, because I was always curious too, I think the same way of, I feel like I should be investing. I feel like I should be doing something with my money. And then of course, COVID did happen. And it's like, this is the perfect time to jump in and throw your money at companies that you barely really know or research, right? And so as I'm on YouTube, I'm finding different channels and I find yours. And there's just something about your presentation. And I think it was truly right when you started the breakdowns of the sheets and knowing what to look for. And then it was your genuineness that kept going, I think.
Yeah.
And that's something where, I feel like your videos really stood out to where there is some times where you had to share with your audience, hey, if you see videos that are coming out regarding these companies, just so you know, I had offers coming in to boost and stuff. And yet you've always kind of kept this keel of, this is not who I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Especially in 2021. I remember, I think the most amount of money I was offered to make a video on a business was $100,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And there was multiple in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. Like in 2021, when money was cheap and basically money was free, like these companies were spending so much money just to try and get their stock price up. And yeah, as you know, I did one of them early on and the audience was not happy with it. So I stopped, but those offers came in, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like on a temptation scale? Because you could have really profited from that and taken a path that I would say roughly guess that many content creators take, and yet you chose to go a completely different route.
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts that come into my head when you ask that question, actually. So, as you know, I did actually take a deal, but
Yep.
the way I did it, you actually don't know about this. Actually, you might not. I don't know. But the deal that I took was on a business called Very Good Butchers. And
I know.
Yeah.
I know the story.
Yeah, and they paid me to talk about their business. But what they told me was, hey, you can take a look at our assets, take a look at our financial statements, and just give your genuine opinion. We're not going to tell you to say anything. So I was like, okay. So I made the video. In my video, I believe I told everyone I think it's actually quite speculative, quite risky. And then I also told my audience flat out, like, I am being paid to talk about this business, because if you do not say that, it goes into the area of being an illegal video. You have to be transparent.
Okay.
And when I made it very clear that I was being paid to talk about this business, I actually got like backlash from the company. They kind of were like, we don't love that you made that, clear to people. So that was kind of sketch. And then
what happened to that company now?
yeah. And then also the audience was like, I don't think you should be making these videos. Yep. And I take feedback from my audience. So after that, I stopped. But overall, man, it just didn't feel good. It didn't feel like I was being true to the YouTuber, content creator, and investor I even want to be. And one thing that Charlie Munger says, who is one of my idols in the investing world, he really preaches make decisions not based on the short term gain, but make decisions based on how it's going to affect your reputation. And I know that I want to be on the YouTube space making videos in the finance area for hopefully decades. Like I genuinely do enjoy it and I love it.
Yeah.
So I felt like if I went down that path of taking these sketchy deals, not telling anyone that I was taking these sketchy deals and just like making all this short-term money, I probably could have made a lot of money very quickly, but then what, you know? My audience would go away. I would lose my following. I would lose my reputation. My name would be tarnished, and I probably wouldn't be able to sell a book, you know?
Right.
So those are the things you have to think about. Is like, yeah, those short-term opportunities may come up, but how do they actually affect you long-term? And what's more important? So that's kind of how I viewed it.
And well, it's one of those things where some of us, you know, on the fantasy side or the other genres that we write in, we're writing books and some of us may not have the audience built up right away. And yours is you're building this huge audience to now 217,000 subscribers on YouTube. And now you launch a book and boom, here you go. Instant bestseller list.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the powers of YouTube, right? If you have a channel, the blessing is if you have a channel and you create a product like a book, then you have an immediate audience and an immediate sales funnel right there where you can generate a lot of sales.
Yeah.
So
directly accessing your consumers.
Yes, exactly. And the people that are actually wanting to read the book, it's the content that they want. It's the content they're interested in. I put my friggin' heart and soul into that book, so they know they're going to get a good deal on it. So yeah, it did well. It got #1 in a couple categories on Amazon. I was super happy. And I just have everyone to thank. Like, thank you for buying the book. Thank everyone for buying the book. And I hope you enjoy it.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I've already started a little bit. That way we could talk a little bit about it. Cause I think I also did see that review that you posted on Instagram that someone posted, right? Which was a beautiful review and I love it. And it just speaks to who you are as a freaking person. But you know, it's crazy too. Like I've said it on my channel before. Your supporters will become your friends faster than your friends will become your supporters. And I remember, I think you were at 40 or 60,000 subscribers. And we were like, dude, let's try to get you to that 100. And I remember, this is the reason I went back into our Instagram feed. I remember sending you a photo and there was 3 screens from 2 different computers. And I think I had like 21 of your videos playing at the same time.
Yeah, I remember
on repeat because I was like trying to generate you in the algorithms of YouTube. And I was like, come on, I got you, bro. I got you.
I remember that. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. It helped out.
Yeah. We got you to the 100. And then of course, like you hit the 100. I'm like, yeah, you'll have 200 in like the next year. And there you go.
Yeah, but it slowed down a lot now, but yeah, we went through a crazy period.
So in reality, you know, you've said that you were writing this book for 3 years.
Yeah,
but 3 years. You actually are writing every day because you write scripts for your videos, correct?
Yeah.
So how does that differentiate for writing your script to writing the book? Did you find yourself like kind of blurring between both at the same time, or how do you work that out?
Yeah, so what I would do is I would set aside 30 minutes to an hour every single morning with my coffee. Like I would get out of bed, make my coffee, and then write on my book, work on my book. And I had the structure out, had the entire outline of the book ready to go. So it was really just like execute on it, you know, get these topics done, basically. But I will say that when I was writing in-depth scripts, because some of my scripts on YouTube are 3,000 to 3,500 words, which is a lot. So if I had to write one of those scripts in a day, the next day I may take a break from the book. It's like, okay, that's a lot of writing. But then I would try and catch up on the weekend, you know, maybe put 2-3 hours into the book. But always I would try to work on it for at least 30 minutes a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, 30 minutes a day. And I think you told me like that was basically about 250 words a day that you tried to hit.
My goal was to write 250 words every single day. Yep.
Okay. And you're finally here. 3 years later.
Yep.
How many times did you want to give up and quit on writing the book?
I actually did. Well, I didn't quit writing the book. The book is done, so I didn't totally give up. But as you know, I went to Asia for 3 months, and I actually did not work on the book during that time. So I throughout the 3 years, I did take breaks because I believe the book is around 92,000 words, 92,000 to 100,000 words. And if you do the math, 250 words per day is actually, you would get the book done in a year. So then you also have the editing, the formatting, all of the other stuff that comes with a book that I did not account for or even think about. That took as long as writing the freaking book.
Yeah. That's what people don't understand is editing takes almost as long as it does to write.
I actually think it did, man. Like,
yeah,
that was crazy. Oh, anyways, I did it all well, I had help, but I did a lot of it myself. But yeah, I forgot what the original question was, but
how many times did you want to give up on the book?
Okay. Yeah. I never wanted to give up on it. As I said, this has always been on my bucket list, so I always knew it was something I was eventually going to get done. But I did take breaks for sure. I would take a break maybe a month here. When I went to Asia, it was 3 months, but I never completely gave up. I always knew it was going to be done.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm curious on like Stock Unlock, because this was something where, like you said, like the book was always on your bucket list item, and you're slowly working this behind the scenes. You're a YouTube content creator who's writing and producing videos. Like that is like, I would say probably the main source of your income to funnel the other things. But then on top of all of this, you decide to create a Stock Unlock platform. And how did that come to be? What is it? And now you have a product that's been valued over a couple $1 million and growing.
Yeah. So Stock Unlock, I do a lot of work for Stock Unlock. It actually is the number one. It's the number one place where I put my time now.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you divide my hours up in a week, Stock Unlock is definitely number one now. YouTube is number two. And then when I was writing the book, that was number three for sure. But yeah, Stock Unlock, we have a team now. We have employees. It's a stock analysis platform, portfolio tracking platform. And how it got started was a viewer of my channel who is honestly just like this crazy good engineer. He actually started building Stock Unlock on his own. We didn't know it was going to be a company at this time, but he was building a program because he would watch my videos with the spreadsheets and everything. And he was like, man, I could build you a program that could do this in like 10 seconds instead of you wasting 3 hours building a spreadsheet. So he started building this platform before I even started responding to his emails. He was developing it, sending me updates, but this was like 2021. I was getting emails like crazy. My channel was blowing up at that time, so I wasn't really responding to everyone. And then I remember this guy just kept showing up in my inbox like every week consistently, update email on program. So eventually I was like, okay, what does this guy want, man? Like, who the heck is this guy? Like, get out of my inbox, open up the email. I'm like, damn, what he's building is actually pretty sweet. Like, that's actually very useful. So him and I hop on a Zoom call. We became instant friends. We talked for like 2.5 hours. And then that slowly went down the path of like, okay, I'm going to step in and start helping you build it, give you ideas. And then I think we were in that state where he had a full-time job. I was doing YouTube, and like this was a side project for a few months. And then I got to the point where he left his job and he was like, I'm going all in. Like it's, we have paying users now. I want to build this thing. So we went all in. And then I kept promoting it on my YouTube channel. We continued developing it, building it. And then we got an investment from Y Combinator, which is a huge accelerator, basically. Okay. They fund startups. So we got funded by Y Combinator. And then I think from there, it just continued growing and slowly became the focus of what I do in my day. It actually generates a lot more revenue than my YouTube channel now. So it makes sense that my time is focused there.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's been crazy, but it worked out.
So do you have more users on Stock Unlock than you do the YouTube channel?
No.
Okay. But still enough that it's completely compensating the time. So
yes.
That's awesome. What I hate about this though is I actually tried to email you like at the very beginning days when I found you, and I was like, "Hey, I have this idea," and it's basically Stock Unlock. But I have no coding experience or ability to help besides an idea. And I was like, "Oh, well, he did it on his own. Okay, that's cool."
Yeah, no, it definitely was not on my own. Like,
Yeah.
I at this point now I have a team behind me that's friggin' killing it. So they're definitely helping me out.
So I guess now, like, you have the book, which we are definitely. I want to ask you one or two more things about it because I've started to read it, and dude, I love it. And what's even funny is, like, as I'm reading it, I just have your voice in my head, so it's even more enjoyable. But what's the next chapter, man? Like, where are you gonna go from here now? Where's the next goal? The next you know, objective that you want to achieve?
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now I'm just really back focused on like the YouTube channel and Stock Unlock. Well, I wouldn't say that I'm back focused on them. I still work on them the same amount. I just don't really have anything that I'm working on in the side right now, which does feel weird. It kind of feels weird to me. I'm someone who always has like a side project that I'm just like half an hour a day, 20 minutes a day that I plug away on. And right now I don't have that. So I got to figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay. So I started the book, obviously. And what was really one, I love how you have it very much like The Intelligent Investor, only in blue. And as soon as I saw the cover, I was like, I know where this came from.
Yeah, it's a little homage.
Yeah,
Homage
absolutely.
to the book.
What I love also is you went for the premium decision of having color photos, aka graphs and charts within the book.
Yes.
So why did you make the decision to go that route?
That was a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
And if you're not an author, let me tell you why that's a hard decision. So I published through Amazon, and Amazon tells you set up the book if you want premium color, if you want just black and white. When I hit the black and white option, it cost about $4 to print the book, which means my margins are going to be way higher, right? But when I went to the premium color option, which is what the book is, printing costs went up to 14 a book. So basically tripled.
Yep.
And then I went through my book.
You immediately learned the frustration of authors everywhere.
Yeah, and then I went through my book because I like looked at the script, or I looked at the manuscript in black and white, and my book has a lot of charts.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of charts that will have like 2 or 3 lines on them, and then the legend is the lines in their colors. So in black and white, if it's not color coded, you don't understand the charts. The charts make no sense.
Yeah.
So for my book, there was really no other option. You have to have coloring.
Yep.
So that's the way I went down it. And it is what it is. I think my margins on the book on Amazon are $5 a book at this point.
Yeah.
Which really isn't that much. Like I have to sell tens of thousands of copies, right?
Right.
But it is what it is. It was something that was on my bucket list. It was something I always wanted to do. Here it is. People are benefiting from it, and I don't think I'm going to make a lot of money off it or get rich off it by any means. But it's just cool. I think it was worth doing.
Absolutely, man. So what was I think you kind of covered it already, but what was the biggest struggle that you had when writing the book?
The biggest struggle. One of the biggest struggles was planning it, trying to figure out all the content that should actually be in there, and then structuring the content in a way that makes sense. Because for those of you who have not read the book, it starts from very basic investing and then gets down as you work your way through the book. It's almost like a story. It's like basic investing, and then by the end, you're full on analyzing businesses and like pointing out why this one is good, why the management is awesome, and then why this one sucks and why it's not a good investment at all. So it builds your knowledge as you read the book. So trying to figure out, okay, should this chapter be before that one before this one? How is it going to make the most sense to the reader? That was actually quite challenging. And then honestly, man, editing, formatting, that one was just mentally challenging because it was so redundant.
Yeah.
And I just had to go through 300 pages. Okay, let's indent that paragraph, indent that paragraph. This one does not need indenting. Indent that paragraph. Like that was challenging on the brain.
And then, of course, because, you know, you for some reason decide not to take the easy route and hire a typesetter like I recommended,
I know.
you decided to do it all yourself on the formatting side as well. It's crazy, man.
I know.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn the process. Now when I write my next book, which I probably will write another one,
I hope so.
Now I know when I write the book, just indent it as I'm writing it. You know? I'll save myself like 3 months on the end of the book.
You say that, but you won't.
I know.
Editing will still take forever. So, what was the biggest thing that you learned about yourself in this writing process?
I think that I learned that I am a lot more knowledgeable than I thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I don't know if that sounds cocky, but it grew my confidence as an investor so much by writing this book, because there is something, I believe there's a saying that's like you learn from teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So by writing the book, I was essentially teaching, and I think I learned a lot through that process. And then it grew my confidence so much as an investor. And I think that would be it.
Dude, yeah, no, that's 100%. I can relate to that because from being in the military, or even when I was just doing something simple like teaching for the youth group at my local church, that was probably the biggest way that I really comprehended the information that I was about to present. Because you don't want to get up there and be, you know, a moron or appear as one.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And you've been studying this for years at this point.
Yeah.
So I can totally relate. And I think when we were talking towards the end of your writing the manuscript and getting it ready, you actually cut a good amount out of your book.
I was actually just going to bring that up. One of your earlier questions, what was the hardest part about writing? A lot of the hard part was figuring out what to cut out, because there was a lot that I cut out. For example, I cut out an entire chapter that was dedicated to the story of the company Bed Bath & Beyond.
Mm.
And the chapter was the worst capital allocation I have ever seen. Because basically that company took all of their cash and they used it, I think it was like $1 billion, and they used it to buy back their stock. At the same time as the business's profits were declining, revenues were declining, and they needed that cash to just live. But as their business was going down and the business was seeing headwinds, they decided, hey, let's buy back $1 billion worth of stock. They self-inflicted bankruptcy. The company went bankrupt. So I wrote an entire chapter on the story, how that played out. It was like, I don't know, 5 to 8,000 words, let's say. And then at the end of the chapter, as I was continuing my research, I learned that the CFO ended up killing himself because of this. And then as soon as I read that, I was like, this no longer feels right. I should not include this chapter in my book.
Wow.
Yeah. So stuff
I
like
know
that.
you've talked about Bed Bath & Beyond on a lot of your videos before. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked, or I remember watching you talk a lot about companies, and that's where this is actually a great transition when you talk about I haven't gotten to the point in the book, the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and how when you start in investing, it is such an emotional experience that I don't think any person is truly ready for.
No. No. My book actually explains a lot how investing is more about controlling your emotions than being smart or having a high IQ. If you cannot control your emotions, you will not be a successful investor. And that's also why in the book I say you truly have to become the best person you can be to become a good investor. Because if you are someone who is emotional or has these very emotional reactions to events, then that's something you'll need to fix before you can become successful at investing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like self-reflection, trying to figure out what sets you off and then correcting that. And that's how you will become a successful investor.
Yeah, I love that, man. And what's one of the things that I really loved about your book is, you know, when you first pick it up, for the person that's, okay, yeah, I'll get it as a physical copy. If you're reading on a Kindle, you probably wouldn't see this, but like it is wall to wall, full body text. And I don't know there. So when you look at it, it may look intimidating. And when you add in the graphs and the charts, it's like I feel like I am actually looking at a school textbook. But once you start reading it, it is so well written as far as the flow and the pacing and the easiness to comprehend exactly what you're conveying. Dude, it's an awesome read so far.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, another really hard thing that was challenging in the book was simplifying these complex investing concepts into plain English. That is the entire goal of the book. I believe in the intro, I say something along the lines of, when I was learning investing, there was nothing that I could read that was just like in a plain English for the average person to just be able to comprehend. There's nothing out there that I found that really exists. So my book, I wanted to fill that gap where anyone can pick it up and be like, read the book, and now they easily understand what proper investing is and the red flags to look out for, what you should and should not be doing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for that feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's okay. Well, here's the next question then. When is the audiobook coming out?
Yeah, that's been asked a few times. That I have no idea how to make, because I was reading that there's very specific things you need to do. So I need to research the audiobook more and learn how to actually make one, and then I'll consider it.
Okay.
But yeah, right now I don't have a plan.
Robert coming in. We're all about the audiobooks.
I know. Audiobooks are growing. I think it's multiples faster than ebooks right now. So
yeah,
I agree. Audiobooks are great.
It's like doubling every year at this point. So
yeah.
And you already have the voice for it, man. I mean, you're doing it all the time. So
I know. Maybe that'll be the next project.
There you go. That's awesome. So what how long did you take to set up your like overview? Like you said, it really took you a while to kind of figure out which steps and how you wanted to flow through the process. How long did you really take to reflect upon that before you started to execute?
That's a good question. The initial outline was probably a day or two, but it changed as I wrote it. So
okay,
to give you like an hour figure on how long I spent moving around the text and trying to figure out what should be in, what should not be in, I don't really know, because I kind of just went and I kind of just started writing, and I had the initial idea for what should and should not be in there. But then as I was writing, it changed as well. So I had to adapt to, new ideas, a new idea that may come up as I'm writing or something like that. But at the end, I probably spent around a week just making sure everything was still flowing properly and the chapters were in the right spot. I actually moved around a few chapters right before I published. So
nice. Yeah. Last second changes.
Oh yeah, for sure. There was a lot of those. There's whole sections awesome, that were added the night before.
Yeah. And what was really cool about, as I started to read your book, man, I was like, this is literally a book I feel comfortable with giving to like a 13-year-old, in all honesty.
Yeah. Because
you broke it down so well that I was like, yeah. And what's funny is I have like a little adopted friendship adoption, little sister niece person. And I got her a finance book because she just joined the Coast Guard. Nice. And she's starting out on a career. So I was like, here you go. Here's, you probably know it, Stacked by, Joel Salsihai, who I love. I love him and what he's doing. And then, as I'm reading your book, I'm like, dude, this is like the next perfect birthday, Christmas gift, something to give someone to realize, like you say in the very beginning, you do not need to be making $100,000 to set up a positive financial future. You simply need time. Mm-hmm. And so I loved how you started out with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the first two chapters are completely dedicated to just explaining investing and trying to really convince the reader that, hey, you can do this and you should be doing it. And these are all of the reasons why.
Yeah. Someone who is even starting out at 16, 17, 18, save up your money and just do the compound calculator at $20, $50, and just see how those little bit increases can take you so far into the future.
Yeah. I believe in the book I wrote about how $20 a month compounded over, I think it was 30 years at 8%. So not even the historical average of the S&P, just at 8%, would turn into, I think it was like $30,000. That's just $20.
Yeah.
Like, man, we can all save $20 a month. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I just got rid of my Hulu, premium. So there we go right there. I just got a new cell phone plan. I switched from Verizon to Xfinity. I saved $45 a month right there.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. I love this. And for those of you who seriously are just curious about investing, who feel like they're afraid about investing, seriously go pick up this book, The Fundamentals of Investing by Daniel Pronk, because it is so well written. And it is such a great book for everyone to gain the confidence to start. And I know you've lost a lot of money.
Yes.
When you started out. I've lost a lot of money starting out, but I also have now set up a very positive future, knowing that the portfolios I have, because I have two personally, are going to go very well into the future in 20, 30 years.
Oh, yeah. I read all about that in the book too, about my largest losses. And then immediately after, the next chapter is the highest quality business I have ever seen. And the lessons that I learned.
Stock Unlock. The highest quality.
Of course. No, but it's just like all the lessons I learned from that largest loss right in the next chapter, how I applied them to the next investment. That was the highest quality business I've ever seen. And the gains from that investment have completely offset the loss and more at this point. So it's like using your mistakes, using your failures and turn them into lessons, learning from them, and allowing them to pay you dividends for the rest of your life. Like that is how you should view it. Well, not just investing, but everything in life. That's how you should look at it.
And it's so much easier to look at the losses and think this isn't worth it. And speaking of the very good butchers, I had an opportunity to sell out and make $100,000. Instead, I lost a lot of money. And I still have those because diamond hands, if they ever bring the stock back, diamond hands. And so it's easy to look at those losses and to think this isn't worth it. And this is this. Yet at the same time, when I look at the other gains, I have completely offset it. My Roth had over 150% growth in the first 2 years, and now it's set up for the rest of its, life. So yeah, it's an easy thing to look at the losses and be like, oh my God, this isn't worth it. But there's also an opportunity to say like, you can still compensate for that by making smart investments.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree.
That's awesome.
I think my YouTube channel has been one big representation of that. Because
how so?
Because in 2020, 2021, I mean, I'm sure you knew about True Leave.
I still have True Leave.
Yeah. And fortunately, that one's out of my portfolio now. I had to get rid of it. But that was very public. Hey, this is my number one stock in 2021. And that thing went from like 65 all the way down to 7. Largest stock in my portfolio, lost a ridiculous amount of money on it. And I just, I make those mistakes very publicly, but then I learn from them. And now I'm like, I will never have another one of those experiences because all the lessons I've learned on how I can avoid that, I'm not going to break these lessons that I've learned or make those same mistakes again. And I've actually had people on my channel say, over the past 18 months, 2 years, they've told me that the quality of my picks, the quality of my analysis, my investments has improved dramatically. And it's because I've had all these large losses and I've made these mistakes. So now it's like, I can share that with the public, how you can avoid these mistakes too. Save yourself tens of thousands of losses, and just learn from what I did.
Yeah. Oh, Yeah. When you say you're writing from experience, like you mean it.
Oh, I mean it.
Yeah.
I 100% am writing from experience. Do not do these things.
Oh my God, dude, this is funny. So, the Kansas City Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, it looks like. Oh, yay for Taylor Swift.
Wow.
God, that's funny, dude. So, I guess this is a great transition into the YouTube channel space, if you don't mind. What are some of the lessons you've learned from YouTube? And what would you say for people who are looking to get into YouTube content creation?
Yeah. If you're looking to get into YouTube, like you have to love it. You have to love the process of making videos and being creative, because you're probably going to go through 6 months to a year where you're putting in a lot of freaking work and you're not seeing anything for it. You're seeing no monetary reward. You're not being paid. And you're just putting in all of these hours and hours and hours of work with really no financial outcome or anything. And you don't know if you're ever actually going to make it. So there's a lot of uncertainty. And yeah, you're just doing it for free at the beginning. So you have to be willing to get through that period. And for me, getting through that period was just because I loved doing it. I would have done it even if I wasn't being paid for it. So that's really how I got through that point. And then even when I started making money off YouTube, it was like $3 a day, and then that was like that for the next 6 months. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not this thing where you're going to make videos and you're going to make $1 million. Like YouTube is not like that.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing people don't understand. They see someone with, thousands and thousands of followers thinking they're making a ton of money off of this, and they're really making scrap.
Yeah. Like my YouTube channel, based on just ad revenue right now from YouTube, even with 217,000 subscribers, I think it makes about $3,000 a month right now, which is like 36K a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at 200,000 subscribers. So it's like,
and as you talk about in the book, the average household income in America person is about 59,000.
Yep.
So you're under the medium for across the nation.
Yeah. And that's why I'm happy to say YouTube is not my only source of income. And that's also why it's not like my main focus anymore. And actually, if YouTube was my main focus, obviously I could produce more content and get that number up. But that's just to try and put it in perspective for people. Like, even at my channel size, it's not the biggest channel in the world, but it's a decent size. And I'm still not making like I'm rich, It's not what YouTube is. It's really a freaking grind, and it's not something you will get rich quick doing. So that would be my advice. Do not do it to get rich, because it's incredibly challenging to do that. And then I'm sorry, I forgot your other question.
I don't know what my other question was. I think it was really just, what are some of the lessons, some of the advice that you would give people who wanted to get in? So one, have fun, do it because you enjoy it. Don't plan to make any money, and do not quit your job to do it full time.
No, quitting your job to do YouTube full time immediately is a bad idea. Definitely make the videos when you have a job and see if your YouTube channel can become successful. And then there will be a point where you can make that decision on if you want to leave your job, but do not do it immediately.
What's really funny too is exactly what you talked about in starting the YouTube channel. Is like, you have to do this for fun, do this and do not expect to be compensated. It's going to take a long time to generate everything. It's the exact same thing as being an author.
Oh yeah.
When you're first starting out, I've devoted so much time, energy, and money. And I've been doing it for 2 years now. I have not been financially compensated for any of that. And honestly, there is a chance I may never be financially compensated. But when you have those people who review and reach out and they're like, dude, I absolutely love this. Whether it's one person or 10 people, it makes you feel good. And you're like, you know what? It was worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've told everyone, because my family was asking, oh, well, how much money are you making off this book? And I was like, really? Like nothing. I am not going to make a lot of money off of this book. It's not something I wrote to try and get rich or make a crap ton of money really quick. It's really something I wrote just because it was on my bucket list and it's something I wanted to do.
Yeah. So on this potentially second book, hopefully, have you kind of considered, like, do you want to write a fictional book? Do you want to write more of a self-reflection philosophy, daily stoic? Where are you where's the creativity pointing you towards?
I think I would stay in the investment niche. I do think one day I would get out of the investment niche, maybe write more about life, like stoicism or something like that. But for now, I think that I have the most unique value to add to people in the investment space. Like in my book, even I said, I believe there's a point in there where I discuss why I didn't just say, "Hey, go buy the S&P 500 ETF," because you could avoid 95% of the book if you just do that, right? But there's so many people who make that kind of content. There's so many people who write about that I felt like I wouldn't add anything new to that conversation. So my book is entirely about what can Daniel Pronk do different and add to the conversation of investing. And that's really in-depth analysis. That's the psychology you should have around investing and the mindset, how you should control your emotions, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the route I went to try and add new perspectives into investing. And I feel like I could probably continue doing that in a few more books, maybe one or two more. So I think I would do that first.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that, man. So I want to make sure that, we're kind of coming up to an hour. So for you guys watching, if you have any questions for Daniel, definitely dump them into the comments, into the chat, so we can get him to answer some stuff. But I want to make sure I give you another congratulations to you and Miss Shelby.
Thank you.
Because, your wonderful, amazing fiance, who is definitely your better half.
Yes.
100%.
Yes, 100%.
But if Miss Shelby is watching, whenever she does watch, I would like to present evidence number one, where in 2021, Mr. Daniel Pronk said he would be my Valentine. So, yeah, right here, will you be my Valentine? All the hearts and fire things and everything. And he's like, let's be Valentines, bro. So, though Miss Shelby beat me out, I still was his first Valentine in this situation.
I'm gonna have to show her that. Oh my god.
Yeah. And also, for those of you who may have realized, we are wearing the same hat because I sent Daniel that hat, and it's now his favorite. So.
Oh yeah, man! I wear this. This is my one hat. This is the only one I wear.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate me for this, but I actually don't know the team that this is.
That's fine. It's the Oregon Ducks.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I went to the US. I think I was in New York, and some guy was like, "Hey, I hate your hat." I was just like, dude, I don't even know what I'm wearing right now. Like, it was a gift. I think it looks good. I like the black. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's super comfortable.
Yeah, it's a great hat. This guy comes up to me, he's like, "I hate your hat." I was like, okay.
And what I also hate is that you actually came to Portland, Oregon and the Columbia River Gorge, and you never told me so that I could come up and hang up with you guys. I'm really pissed about that.
Yeah, I wasn't there for long. Next time I'm there for sure.
Okay, so Unwired, also known as Rob, TJ has had a lot of good things to say about you over the months. Daniel, what would be the 3 most important things you would say to investors?
3 most important things. Oh man. I think I would double highlight that to be a good investor, you do have to control your emotions. It really is more about controlling your emotions. I mean, right now, for example, I personally believe we're in an AI bubble right now. And you're seeing you're seeing all these AI stocks go nuts. Any business mentions they're in AI right now, their stock goes up. I have holdings in my portfolio that have been flat for the past year. And if I were a newer investor, I may be looking at those right now and being like, well, these aren't doing anything. They're boring. Let me sell them and I'm going to go buy this stock because it's going up. So I think trying to fight FOMO and all of the emotions that come with investing is really important, because if you chase the hype or you fall into FOMO, that's really how you lose money. It's like one of the main ways investors lose money is buying things that are going up and expensive. I really got to think. I don't know. I don't know really any off the top of my head. Most important things. It also depends on if you're going to be buying individual businesses versus the S&P 500. If you're going to be buying ETFs, main thing is just focus on the long term. In my book, I actually show a chart of how the S&P 500 can go through periods of 10 to 15 years where it doesn't do anything really. The price doesn't actually go up. But when you zoom out over the past 100 years, the S&P 500 and the market does go up. So focusing on the long term, we can go through a period where the market as a whole does not go up for a decade. It's happened before. I believe it will happen again. Probably, I'm not going to guess when, but historically, when people get very euphoric, it's a top for a little bit. So yeah, I would go into the mindset and the perspective of when you're investing, you're not going to make money every year. There's going to be years where you don't make money. There's going to maybe be 5 to 10 years where you're actually not going to make money. And you should actually just continue investing anyways through them. And when stocks are not going up is actually when you generate the best returns. When stocks are going up every day, they're getting more and more and more expensive. You don't generate as high returns. It's when stocks are going down. It's when they're not doing anything. It's when they're being boring that your returns are going to be higher. And as an investor, you should actually want that because you have this is how I put it. If you are someone who is a net buyer of stocks, if you're buying stocks all the time, if you're buying stocks every month with your income, why do you want them high? Why do you want them to be going up? If you're a net buyer, you should actually want them to be going down because then you're getting more stock and you're getting them cheaper.
Yeah.
So that I think is the perspective investors should have. All of that is all really important. I can't boil it down into one sentence, but all of that.
Well, I think, kind of like you're talking about, if you're, remember the differential, like you said, am I investing in this company? And one, in your book, here is how you know this company is something to say is a good investment. But if that stock is down and you've done your analysis, it's a great value at that point.
Yep.
Because you're not looking at the value to change in the next 2 weeks. You're looking at that value is going to change in the next 20 to 30 years, or until you've regained the growth you want and you sell out and then reinvest somewhere else.
Yes, absolutely. Also, price and value a lot of the time in the market are not connected. So there's an area in my book where I talk about a stock, Equitable Bank. During 2007 and the 08 financial crisis, 2008 to 2009, sorry, Equitable Bank's earnings, the profits of the business doubled. So theoretically, if you're an investor looking at that, that should have been a great thing, right? Profits doubled as the economy is falling apart. However, the stock fell by 75%. So the price of that business fell 75%. But if you're looking at the actual business, its earnings doubled. So you can look back at that and say, well, one, price and value are clearly not connected at times. And when people are scared and stock prices are falling, you can actually get businesses that are growing and they're fundamentally sound for very cheap prices. Mm-hmm. And that is where the best opportunities are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man, I like that because I don't know if you talked about it, but it was really around that time that I found you and got in with the COVID crash. Mm-hmm. It was basically 2008 was this horror moment for so many people when the housing market crashed. It was exactly the moment that the prepared investors were waiting for, though, and they maximized off of it. Yeah. And now in the 2020 crash, there was a lot of people that lost a lot of money when it sank, and some of them pulled out, some of them held on, and some people were prepared and waiting and just like foaming at the mouth of like, yes, here we go. And there's great success stories that can come out of some of these situations for the people that are prepared and ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you are an investor and you're thinking about the long term, and we do see a market that's not going up for a few years, or we see another crash, I would try and view that as an opportunity. I wouldn't view that as something to be scared of or fearful of. It's going to happen. If you have 30 years of investing ahead of you, you are going to see a crash. You will see a market that does not go up for a few years. So you have to accept that these are part of investing. That's just part of the market. So since it's part of the market and you're not going to change it, the only thing you should be thinking about is how do you take advantage of that?
Mm,
So that's
yep.
the type of mindset that I would try and have.
How long do you think, now that you've experienced it yourself, you've fought through it, but the fact that you have so many followers
Mm-hmm.
that you've communicated with and that you've devoted so much time to, for someone who is starting out investing, how long do you think that emotional turmoil or struggle is for them to get to the point where they're not like freaking out at every little negative red bump or getting euphoric at every positive green uptick?
I don't know. I don't know how long it takes. I don't know if some people ever get rid of that. I think that some people are naturally wired for investing and some people are not, which is not a good or bad thing. Because you can just buy an ETF, right?
Mhm.
Like, you do not have to be analyzing businesses to do well in investing. But one thing that I would say dramatically helps, and what my book really touches on, is just understand what actually makes stocks go up over the long term. It is the fundamentals of the business getting better. And by fundamentals, I mean the profits of a business growing. If a business can grow its profits over the next 20 years, its stock will follow the profits. It's how the market works. And my book breaks that all down, exactly why that is, the logic behind it. It makes sense. But yes, the reason the stock market goes up over time is because business profits grow over time. And they're going to continue growing over the next 50 years. So if business profits are going to grow, the market is going to probably be up over the next 50 years. It's going to be much higher than where it is today. So if we see a small bump today, to me, it's just an opportunity to buy more and just ride that wave for the next 50 years, hopefully, if I'm still around.
I was gonna say, Jim Cramer is gonna be no more. It's gonna be Daniel Pronk hour that we get to tune in and hang out with you, man.
Oh man, I do not want to be the next Jim Cramer.
Dude, I can't stand him. So you, I will take any day, all day out of the week over Jim Cramer. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, man. All right, guys. So if there's any other comments, any other questions, anything that you're curious about with the investing, man, this guy is the guy to ask. But I don't want to keep him very long. So make sure you put your comments in the chat. Daniel, is there anything else that you would like to talk about or share with the community before we sign off for the night?
I don't think there's anything else that I would share. I would just say thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everyone tuning in. It's a good time. I'm happy we finally got to talk, over camera at least, not in person yet. But we've been DMing each other on Instagram for over 3 years now, so it's good to finally meet you.
I know, like you're just such a busy guy, man. So it was one of those things where, our friendship was so different because it was so much revolved around finances, personal growth, because you and I have had talks where it comes to mental health, emotional health, stress, physical fitness. And so like we've had a very unique friendship, but it's like, man, you've got also 200,000 people who also want your time and attention. So
well, I still appreciate it. I still appreciate all our talks and everything. You've given me a lot of good advice over the years too, so I appreciate that as well.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to help. Big Rob coming in. Thanks. Any thoughts on the biggest mistakes you see individual investors making and how can they be avoided? Feel free to point at your book here.
The biggest mistakes. I would say, I think there's a few, but number one, I would say individual investors tend to get interested in things like stocks or a specific stock after it's already risen a lot and there's already a lot of enthusiasm in the market. And you may hear about a stock from your friend, for example. Hey, this stock just went up 200%. Now you should go buy it. I think that's a mistake personally. I also think it's a mistake for you to buy something and not actually know what the business behind the stock does, because behind every stock there is a real business. And that's actually what you're investing in. You're investing in the business, not the stock. So I don't know if that's two. One, I would definitely make sure you understand what the business behind the stock does and why you want to invest in that business. And then two, I do think that a lot of people get dragged into the market or dragged into a stock solely due to hype or because someone has told them to, or they see someone making money on a certain stock. So they want to go buy it too because they think it's going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, I think that's just a mistake. I think that's how you get caught in bubbles, which is something I did. As I say in my book, my largest loss was me getting caught in a bubble. I bought a business that I should not have bought, and I bought it at such a high price because the stock was going up, and I lost a lot of freaking money.
Well, technically, you've been caught in at least two bubbles. The first green wave, and yeah.
I got caught in the two cannabis bubbles. I thought they were different. They weren't.
I thought they were different. Yeah, I'm still hoping for that bubble to reemerge again, but you know.
But yeah, no, that's exactly how people get caught in bubbles. That's how I got caught in one. I fell into the hype. I bought a stock that was going up a lot, and it didn't work out.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. Looking forward to checking out your book. Yeah, absolutely, Rob. And so here's the thing, you guys, like, you know, Fundamentals of Investing by Daniel Pronk. I know in our community, we talk a lot about fantasy. We talk a lot about lit RPG, but, you know, I've had people who have written kids books, coloring books, and financial books. And the reason is because, you know, you point out so well here, anyone can start. And whether you yourself individually think you have a good grasp on finances, I guarantee, know someone in your life who could use the advice that is in this book. So even if you don't need it, you definitely have someone in your family, friends that could use the wisdom that is in this book. So definitely get this book for the people you love and help them become better equipped for a more positive financial future.
That's right. That's right. I agree. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you would agree because it's freaking true. Shit. So, well, Daniel, I extend the invite out to all the authors. Dude, if you ever want to come on and talk more book talk, you have your own stock channel. But if you even want to talk stocks here, man, you can always come and hang out and tell us what you're seeing.
Will do. All right. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in. This guy is amazing. Go check him out. And hopefully we will see you next weekend for Saturday, my writer updates and motivation. And then Sunday, we should be having the ever amazing Kevin Sinclair. And we will see you guys later.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, I don't believe in destiny. I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me. You ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes. Call me aggressive with my flow. Call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love. Still gonna die for what I love. Still gonna try, I won't give up. Still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left. And I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret. Cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win. I won't stop till the end, no. So I don't repeat history, and people won't admit to me they don't want a victory bad enough to get a C. They'd rather just go leave it be. And oh, this journey I've been on since was 13. Working hard and learning, never stopping searching. Yeah, it's burning, all this passion hurts me. I took action working, writing down these words.
No, I'm not okay, I just wanna be something. I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting by. But I'll tell you I'm just fine, so you leave me alone. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no.